Welcome to your ultimate Series 7 survival guide. Listen, if you're gearing up for this exam, you already know the rulebook can feel like, well, a dense, totally unreadable maze. But today, we're cutting through all that noise with a zero-fluff explainer on one of the absolute most tested concepts on the entire exam. We're talking about the Know Your Customer rule, or KYC. And we're going to lock this into your brain so deeply, you won't just recognize it on test day, you'll literally be able to teach it.
Now, real quick, this explainer is brought to you by CertFuel. If you're tired of dry, boring study material, they've actually got a full Series 7 course with adaptive study quizzes, smart flashcards, and unlimited practice exams that are weighted exactly like the real thing. Definitely check them out at certfuel.com. All right, let's jump right into the action.
Okay, Section 1, the Know Your Customer rule. To really make sense of this, let's introduce our main characters for today. Meet Riley the rep and Carla the customer.
So Carla walks through the doors of Riley's brokerage firm with a giant bag of cash and a dream. The Know Your Customer rule governs exactly how Riley has to interact with Carla right from day one. Let's test your gut instinct out of the gate here. Imagine Carla sits down and says, "Look, Riley, I don't want your advice, I don't want your recommendations. I just want you to execute the exact unsolicited trades I tell you to." Okay, pause the explainer right now. Think about it for a second. Does Riley still need to jump through all the KYC hoops if Carla is taking full responsibility for her own trades? Boom! Here is your first major exam trap. The answer is an absolute, undeniable yes. The exam will definitely try to bait you into thinking that KYC is only for customers who actually want financial advice. Do not fall for it. The Know Your Customer rule applies to every single customer always. Even a purely unsolicited-only account triggers KYC obligations. Riley still absolutely has to know who he's dealing with to clear her trades and, follow the law.
Okay, let's throw another little wrinkle in. Enter Sam the supervisor. Sam is Riley's boss and he oversees the branch. Does Sam demand that Riley achieve absolute 100% certainty about every single detail of Carla's life before opening the account? Like, does Riley need to hire a private investigator to verify Carla's childhood pet's name? Pause and think about it.
No. And this brilliantly illustrates our next core concept, which is reasonable diligence. The required standard for gathering KYC facts is just reasonable diligence, not absolute perfection. The test writers are super sneaky here. They'll present answer choices using extreme words like certainty or verify every detail. The moment you see the phrase absolute certainty, cross it out. Riley just needs to use reasonable diligence.
Moving on to Section 2, defining the essential facts. Let's actually outline what these are.
So does Riley need to know her favorite color? No. Essential facts are specifically the exact pieces of information Riley needs to do 4 key things. 1. Effectively service the customer's account. 2. Act in accordance with any special handling instructions. 3. Understand the authority of each person acting on behalf of the customer, like, say, if someone has power of attorney. And 4. Comply with applicable laws, regulations, and rules. That's really it. It's whatever the firm needs to just do its job properly.
Let's make that second pillar memorable with a slightly absurd example. Let's say Carla sits down and just screams, "Riley, under no circumstances are you to ever buy me a tobacco stock. I hate tobacco." Well, that right there is a special handling instruction. It is now an essential fact. Riley must document this. If he doesn't know this essential fact, he can't properly manage her account according to her strict anti-tobacco rules.
All right, Section 3, the ongoing maintenance obligation. A lot of test takers think KYC is just a checkbox you tick on the day the account opens, and then you shove the paperwork in a filing cabinet forever. Nope. KYC is a living, breathing obligation. Let's look at a timeline of Carla's life. Day 1, the account is opened and Riley gathers the essential facts. Awesome. But let's jump to year 2. Carla gets a massive promotion and a brand new high-paying job. Now jump to year 5. Carla's mysterious billionaire uncle passes away and leaves her a huge inheritance. Carla's financial situation has completely transformed, right? Because her circumstances have changed, Riley has a strict duty to update her essential facts. Which brings us to another massive exam trap. You really need to watch out for this exact phrasing: opening and maintenance. If a firm only gathers info at account opening and never ever updates it when they become aware of major life changes, they are actively violating the Know Your Customer rule. It is not just a one-time event. It is opening and maintenance. So why does this matter so much? Well, because KYC provides the foundation for suitability and Reg BI, meaning regulation best interest obligations. Just think about it logically for a second. Riley cannot possibly make a suitable investment recommendation for Carla in year 5 if he's still treating her like she has her year 1 income. Without knowing who the customer is today, you simply cannot make suitable recommendations today.
Okay, wake up and stretch your neck. It's time for a pattern interrupt. Section 4. The KYC versus CIP breakdown. Let's compare these rules.
Let's put these two in a brutal, side-by-side cage match because people mix them up all the time. First, what is the purpose? CIP is to verify identity. Literally just asking, are you who you say you are? KYC is to know essential facts about how to handle your money. What about the legal basis? Well, CIP comes from the USA Patriot Act to stop money laundering. KYC comes from FINRA to ensure fair dealing. And timing? CIP happens exactly once, at account opening. KYC happens at opening and ongoing. Completing one absolutely does not satisfy the other. Listen, if you only remember one thing from that cage match, let it be this stripped-down distillation. CIP equals verify identity. KYC equals no essential facts. The exam is absolutely going to give you a scenario where a firm checks a customer's driver's license and passports, and then they'll ask if KYC is satisfied. Your answer? Absolutely not. Verifying her face doesn't tell Riley if Carla hates tobacco stocks. All right, Section 5, Rapid Fire Exam Recap. We are going to fire the most testable points directly into your short-term memory before your next practice exam. Ready? Let's go.
Number 1. KYC is opening and ongoing. It is a lifelong maintenance obligation. That file is literally never closed as long as the account is open.
Number 2. The standard is reasonable diligence. It is not absolute perfection. It is not absolute certainty. Don't let the exam trick you into playing private investigator.
Number 3. It applies to every single account. There are 0 exceptions. Even if Carla refuses all advice and only wants to execute unsolicited trades, Riley still has to KYC.
Number 4. CIP is not KYC. Verifying an identity under the Patriot Act absolutely does not mean you know the customer's essential facts under FINRA rules. They are separate rules with completely separate goals.
And finally, I'm going to leave you with this highly provocative, completely ridiculous question to chew on. If Carla's life changes dramatically and she suddenly decides to adopt 40 radioactive emus, incurring massive new debts and weird storage fees, does Riley need to update her KYC essential facts? You bet he does. Her financial situation just drastically changed. So keep that absurdity in your head. Remember that KYC is an ongoing relationship, and you are going to absolutely crush this section of the Series 7. Happy studying!